Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Monday, February 28th, 2022 regular session of the Carmel Place School Board. I'm so excited to have you in the audience and for those who are watching at home. I first start by talking a little bit about my Saturday. So this past Saturday, I had the opportunity to go downtown to the IUPUI Natatorium and watch our Carmel boys swimming and diving team compete in the state championship. It was an incredible time. You know, we watched the Olympics, we watched things on the television, but to see these kids going from one side of the pool to the other before you can even like turn your head to go and look is absolutely incredible. But really, as much as that was amazing to me, what was in the stands was even more so. To have their fellow students, their peers, and their parents cheering them on, regardless of if they got first or eighth place, that was really what was quite inspiring to me. That evening, I had the chance to go to the high school to see the final results of the Carmel Dance Marathon, where hundreds of kids had spent their entire Saturday dancing away to raise money for Riley Children's Hospital. The event was years-long worth of fundraising for somebody else besides themselves. Our kids are amazing. Our staff is amazing, and the parents that support them are amazing. I am so incredibly grateful that we have the opportunity to see what these kids are doing. Whatever we think about the state of the world, I'm so proud of our students and know that they're going to do amazing things. So I'm so appreciative of being able to attend those events and to see some of the wonderful things. And I just wanted to share that as we get started on our meeting today. I would like to do roll call. Madam Secretary.
Everybody's present and accounted for.
Thank you. If you will please now rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Before we move into our consent agenda, I think we're going to get a little sneak peek of the superintendent's report. Is that correct?
Well, I think so, since you already kind of stole my thunder again with the what I would call a record-setting Saturday. It was pretty amazing. Our boys' swim team brought that state title home for the eighth straight year. So they're starting a streak of their own. That's pretty amazing. The meet began with the 200-meter medley relay, setting a national record. So talk about getting off to a fast start, and then that set the tone for the rest of the meet. The Hounds won the other two relays; they won all three relays, and then we had 3 or 4 individual state champions. But more importantly, as a team, they just kept coming in like second, third, fifth, sixth. You know, it was just a pretty amazing thing. Indiana swimming is very strong. I mean, the team from Zionsville that got second had some tremendous marks. A lot of state records fell, and so it's pretty cool for all the athletes. That day was a pretty special day. So I want to congratulate all the athletes and coaches on a job well done. But also it's historical because our own board president, Katie Brown, became the first board member to ever jump in the pool after the victory with all the other folks. So you know, the record-setting thing there too. So I appreciate your dedication to the team. And then I too was able to go to the dance marathon, and she kind of saved, you know, for let me do the big reveal. But if you haven't seen it already, for 3 years I've been saying, you know, Carmel High School raised almost $500,000 for Riley Children's Hospital, but they didn't do that this year. They raised $510,495.19. So they raised over $500,000 for the kids at Riley, and you know, you can't walk away from there not feeling like our world is in good hands, because these kids are going to do a great job taking care of that. And I'll just add, since I'm doing all my bell ringers, that the Carmel Elementary School kids participated in the Kids Heart Challenge, and they raised $10,000 for the American Heart Association. So big hand for the Carmel L kids. And so it really was a championship Saturday. So thank you.
I love starting with all the good news. All right, we will now move on to consent. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent items, including personnel report, claims, payroll, approval of gifts, and minutes from January 10th, executive session, minutes from the workshop session of January 10th, and minutes of the regular session, January 24th? Louise, so moved. Do I have a second? Second, Jennifer, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand by signifying saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We will now move on to action. Item 3.1, change orders, Murray Soccer Stadium and Hartman Baseball Complex. Mr. Roger McMichael.
There we go. These change orders, these are an add change order in the amount of $109,461.77. Hold on a second. Part of this is a credit, or there will be a credit coming back for a little over $12,000. So the net amount for us will be about $97,000. This has to do with the need to change out some equipment for the site utilities because of the inability to get delivery on the original manufacturer.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve 3.1 change orders? Thank you, Mr. Kirshner. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Is there any discussion? Yep, Mr. Kirshner.
Roger, I just want to clarify. I know you said that there's a credit back, and I just want to clarify that that was due to damage by one of the contractors and that they are going to be paying for that. And then the vast majority of this charge is, like you said, it was replacing a product because of lead time and just not being able to get what we originally were
just the availability
expecting.
or the lack of availability of the product.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, we will now take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We will now move on to 3.2, the bid rejection, bid award delay, and bid awards for the Carmel High School Natatorium project. Mr. McMichael.
Okay. First, we have three different things here, actually. First, we're recommending that that the board reject bid category 4, which is roofing. We only received 2 bids, and so we feel it would be in the interest of the school corporation to rebid the roofing, which we would do in the next 60 days. Secondly, we're recommending not awarding but holding bid categories 13, which is plumbing, as well as 14, which is HVAC, in order to further evaluate those bids to determine who is the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. And then with regard to the other categories, we're recommending award of bids to the lowest bidder. The total amount of these bids is $40,167,047. I'm not sure if you or I stated it, but this is for the natatorium complex.
Thank you, Mr. McMichael. May I hear a motion to approve 3.2? Thank you, Ms. Jackson. A second? Thank you, Mr. Kirshner. Is there any discussion? Ms. Vandenberg?
Roger, I see that on the roofing, number 4, you're wanting us to reject it, which I could understand. There's quite a huge discrepancy between, or I guess difference between the bids for those only 2. How many bid did we request? How many did we send out for only 2 to come back?
I don't know the specific number. We will always solicit at least 3 bids.
Okay.
Given the size of these bids, we likely solicited more than 3. And as you alluded to, the 2 bidders that did provide bids, the second bidder was several $1 million more than the first. So we believe that bid was what in the industry would be considered a courtesy bid. They did, they were asked to bid, so they provided a price, but it was not a realistic price.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kirschner?
So Roger, I guess just for the record, we did receive 55 bids across these 15 categories.
Yes.
Thank you. And my understanding, but please confirm that these numbers were pretty close to budget, even though all the things that are going on in the construction world today?
They are. They were, I don't have the exact number, but they were very close to the final estimate that we had on the project.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll now take a vote. All those in favor of 3.2 bid rejection, bid award delay, and bid awards for the Carmel High School Natatorium project, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.3, carry forward of capital projects accounts. Mr. McMichael.
Thank you. This is an annual routine after the end of the year. These are the projects that are actually part of our operations fund, which incorporated what previously was the capital projects fund, so we're still using that term. But these are our budgets that we routinely carry forward for another year. Several of them are allocated to the schools, and there are some central accounts as well.
Thank you. May I hear a motion to approve 3.3, carry forward on capital projects accounts? Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Vandenberg. Is there any discussion? Okay. We will now take a vote. All those in favor of 3.3, carry forward to capital project accounts, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Our final action item for tonight is 3.4, budget appropriation transfer. Mr. McMichael.
Thank you. This is also a year-end annual routine process. This is not a matter of increasing or decreasing expenditures. It's a matter of a balancing appropriations, which again, we do this every year, and these adjustments are in the context of our education fund and our referendum fund, as well as our safety referendum, and so those total budgets are in excess of $143 million.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the 3.4 budget appropriation transfer? Thank you, Ms. Vandenberg. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll now take a vote. All those in favor of 3.4 budget appropriation transfer, please signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We will now move on to our public comment portion of our agenda. This shall be noted and guided by the rules that were in the handout that you received this evening under the public comment guidance. Per board bylaw, speakers will be chosen by random drawing. I have your numbered registration cards of those who filled out wishing to speak. Those numbers are in a basket with Dr. Ostreit, who's going to call out 2 numbers at a time. The first will speak, and the second will be deck at the microphone, which is right there. Okay, perfect. Thank you. When your name is called, please go to the microphone and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. We have a timer on stage, which is so kindly borrowed from the Clay Athletic Department, which will let you know how long you have remaining. We also have a total of 30 minutes, which will be projected on the big screen total today for public comment, and that countdown will appear too. We want to thank you for participating, and Dr. Ostreit, please let's get started. Can you please call the first 2 numbers? Technical difficulty. Go get that number back.
We have them all. Thank you very much for your patience. Here we go.
Don't moonlight as a bingo caller, okay?
All right. The first number we have is number 6.
6.
And on deck, we have number 3.
All right. Randy Gomez first, and number 3 is Sarah Smith. Please go to the microphone and state your name, and you will begin your time.
Hello, this is Randy Gomez. I live in Carmel. My kids went to Carmel Clay Schools. Love the school system. Thank you very much. My comments today concern an article in the Current that concerned the principal at Prairie Trace School, Kimberly Piper, who was encouraging other people to read a very inspirational book to her, the 1619 podcast, and which appears to me to be in contrast or in conflict with a statement that the school board members said that the Carmel Clay Schools doesn't teach 619 or CRT. So from a school board, I'm asking you this number of related questions. I'll make this quick. From a school board, is what that principal did conflicts with what you said the school board does? Am I making sense?
Yeah, there's no discussion. We're not going to respond back to you. This is just your time to talk to us.
Okay, all right, I would like to know, is there a conflict or not? Because there's in my mind, it speaks to confidence in leadership. You guys are the leadership. You all ran and you won. People are behind you. This teacher was appointed or hired by you, so you have confidence in her, and she follows your directions. So we trust that teacher, principal, to teach to lead the teachers who teach our kids. So there's a whole trail there. And when the leaders fail you by doing something like 1619, which seems out of line with your policy, it speaks to confidence. Now, I don't know this person, I don't know you personally, but it speaks to confidence, not only with her, but it makes me, and it leads me to other things. Well, what else has she done? What other teachers have done this? What other principals have done this? So from a school board, it thinks you guys have a responsibility to button this down, get on the same page. And I don't think that individual was on the same page. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sarah Smith?
And number 5 is on deck. Number 5.
My name is Sarah Smith.
Jill Fletcher.
Oop, I apologize.
No, go ahead. Thank you.
My name is Sarah Smith. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to thank the board for opening up public comment so that we can see that Carmel is truly represented by people that have the interest of our children at heart, and there are a few outliers who would like to rabble-rouse. I would like to thank the teachers for doing their absolute best during this time when it seems like they're being attacked over and over again. And I would like to say, we really appreciate all the teachers and the staff and the bus drivers and everyone working to make my kids' life better. I have 2 kids in the Carmel schools, and I want to say, I have to say this because it seems as though a lot of people get defensive when they learn where I'm from. I'm from here originally. I have lived in Noblesville and Tipton and Westfield and Carmel and Indianapolis and Avon. I've been around Indiana, but I spent the last 10 years in California, and somehow that makes my opinion invalid to certain people in this room. It's unfortunate. What I want to say is that when we moved back, I looked at all of those communities to see if the schools would be the right fit for my children, and the answer was resoundingly no, because they do not prioritize diversity education like Carmel does. We moved to California for a job, and you know what? California is diverse. So is Indianapolis. So is Carmel. I want my kids to be prepared for that life and not be shell-shocked when they move away, which they will. We have no colleges in Carmel, as far as I'm aware, so we need to prepare them for the world at large. When you look up school rankings, Carmel is consistently the best on every metric, but more so, they are the best in social learning, in diversity and inclusion, and these are the important things that are going to bring home buyers to Carmel. So even if you're against morally our kids learning that being nice is good, at the very least, you should think economically it's better for Carmel to have good schools so that you can sell your home if you'd like to leave. I got a little sidetracked, I apologize. But the upshot that I hope you take away is thank you very much for all you're doing, and keep at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. This comment is Jill Fletcher, and our next number is
4.
4, which is Gary Hutt. Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Fletchall. I was a teacher at Carmel for 4 years. I was taught taught fifth grade at Smoky Row Elementary for 4 years before having my 3 children, who all went through Carmel schools. My youngest is a senior at Carmel High School right now, who is going to go to IUPUI in the fall and wants to pursue a career in elementary education. And the reason he's wanting to pursue that career in education is because of a math teacher he had last year. My son struggled through math all through elementary, middle school, and up until high school. Had a teacher that completely inspired him to become a teacher. Like myself, I'm a teacher. My sister is a principal in Westfield for over 25 years. My mother was a teacher for 35 years in public education. My father was a business manager for Perry Township Schools and Washington Township Schools. So my family is, I'm surrounded by educators. And I just want to, again, just say what a great job I think our teachers are doing, what a great job the school board is doing to represent Carmel Clay Schools. There's just so much controversy out there as to what teachers should and shouldn't be teaching. But I think above all, as an educator who went to Purdue University and got my education degree, I felt qualified to teach. And I felt Carmel always supplied me with the guidelines in what to teach. And I always, anything related to diversity or treating everyone equal, and I just don't see how anyone can oppose that or question history. I guess it comes down to a matter of this is our history, and we should be teaching it to our children, and we should be welcoming all children, all families, and anyone, and that principal, that letter that she sent out to her staff, if I were a teacher working for her, I would have, just sat back, thank you so much, that's, you're doing a great job, because I felt like she was just expressing, let's be kind, let's treat each other all with respect, do the right thing, treat others as you would want to be treated, and that is what I always said in my classroom, and I know the Carmel teachers are doing the best that they can to continue that, and like I said, my oldest graduated in 2018, and then my son graduated in 2015, and now my youngest will graduate here in May, and he is going to pursue a degree in education, which it's becoming, he's seeing the news, you can't help but see it out there, and people are saying, why would you ever want to go into education? It's so controversial, and everyone is looking at you under a microscope as to what you're teaching, and I just keep telling him, you're doing this because a teacher changed your life, and you want to go out there and change other people's lives, and that's exactly what our teachers are doing, and they're teaching the history as it should be taught, because it is our history, and I guess that's all I wanted to say, but I just, I'm proud to be, not only was I proud to be a Carmel teacher, but I was proud to have 2 children graduate and 1 soon to be graduated from Carmel Clay School. So thank you for what you do, and for showing up to all these board meetings as you do, and that's all I want to say. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Please hold your applause. Gary Hutt.
On deck is number 1. On deck is number 1.
Diane Hanna.
Hi. Just want to say thank you for all your work that you've been doing. I know it's hard. I know you feel underappreciated, but I do have a couple notes.
Before you start, sorry, can you state your name?
Oh, sorry, Gary Hutt.
Thank you.
All right. My boys came here, just graduated not too long ago, so I have a vested interest. But again, thank you for all your time and effort. I know you feel underappreciated. I think you all do a good job. It's tough being in your spot, I know. I do have a couple of notes I wanted to just say. I am here to support our teachers and our school board on the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The reason we study history is so we learn our lessons from the past and we work to prevent making those mistakes. I'm sure the people of Germany regret the Nazi Party from taking control of their country. The other thing I want to emphasize and remind people that the only thing that can allow evil to succeed is when good people stand by and do nothing. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Number 3, is that right, Dr. O, next? Sarah Smith. Who's next? Sorry.
We have number 1 next,
Okay,
and then we have
Diane.
number 2 on deck.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Diane Hannah, sorry.
Hi, yeah, thanks. My name is Diane Hanna, and my primary reason for talking today is to celebrate Terry Roberts Leonard's first year anniversary here, and to just point out some of the things that she has done. Because I know you guys all got like the 1 year report, like everything she's done, but like how it has materially affected my life and my family's life. So I do want to get to that, but I'm not sure if I always say this, but I am actually by profession I'm a medievalist historian of Christianity. I got my PhD in religious studies at IU with a minor in history, and so I'm very familiar with the Indiana University Department of History, and I'm also very familiar with some of the work that they have done for the educational standards in the state of Indiana. And so to Mr. Gomez's question, I know the school board is not allowed to respond, but so the Prairie Trace Elementary principal recommended that her staff listen to the 1619 podcast, which has frequently been associated with critical race theory and all of that stuff. Well, the podcast, I haven't actually listened to the podcast, but the 1619 Project itself is actually recommended to be taught by the Indiana Department of Education because it reflects the current historiographical debates. So historians of American history are asking themselves, to what extent did slavery I was answering your question. So, to what extent did slavery affect or impact the development of this country? And so this is a live debate among historians, and there's some historians that say 100% this entire country is based on slavery, and there's a whole bunch of other historians who say not at all based on slavery. Well, actually, there's nobody who says not all based on slavery, but that slavery was sort of incidental. And the reason that it's important to look at the 1619 Project is because this is one of the major theories about this country. And if we don't allow our students to learn about it, they're going to go off to college and not be prepared to talk about American history. They don't have to agree with the 1619 Project. It is the perspective of historians, but it's an important perspective that they do need to hear, and it does need to be taught. But I did want to make clear that in that principal's, she was Prairie Trace is an elementary school. They are not doing the 1619 Project there. She was just saying that her teachers might want to listen to it. Okay, so in terms of what I had intended to speak about, I wanted to talk about just a few of the things, and of course I've lost my little notes, just a few of the things that Terry Roberts Leonard has done in her first, oh my gosh, 30 seconds. Darn. Okay, so I'm really appreciative that she created the structure for a DEI committee in every school, because it means that no matter where my kid is, I know that there are people there who are watching out for him. The baseline trainings for core concepts and cultural competence, this is so over-needed. So sorry, it is so overdue. Sorry.
Thank you for your comment. All right, the next number, Dr. Ostrike, is number 2. Thank you. Jeff Bolt.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Bolt. I am the father of 2 daughters who are educated through Carmel Clay Schools. One graduated in 2013 and one in 2020. I think I represent hundreds, if not thousands, of families who are deeply appreciative of what Carmel Clay Schools did for our children. My daughters received an outstanding education that more than prepared them for college and beyond. There have been claims that Carmel Clay Schools are declining in performance. I have looked at data available through the Department of Education, and Carmel Clay Schools have consistently ranked within the top 3 public schools in the state for iLearn and iStep scores, performance on SAT and ACT exams, number of students taking and passing AP exams, and such. These data are readily available and very clearly indicate that Carmel Clay Schools have and continue to provide a comprehensive, excellent education for its students. There simply is no data I can find that would suggest otherwise. Perhaps because of this, discussion has recently turned to whether students are somehow being influenced or indoctrinated in an inappropriate fashion. I can tell you that unequivocally, my children were never indoctrinated toward a specific political viewpoint by a teacher. Not once, not ever. Were they sometimes challenged by teachers to do better, to think about subjects in a different way, to debate with classmates who might have different views? Of course. My parents' generation had a phrase to describe that. They called it growing up. Realizing that the world did not revolve around you and that you had to learn to accept others as they are, and that they might have different and diverse opinions. Such challenges taught my daughters to develop critical thinking skills, which have been absolutely necessary for them in college and beyond. It is not a bad thing to have children learn to think. Memorizing your multiplication tables and such are necessary and are taught well at Carmel Clay schools. But it is being able to utilize and integrate that factual knowledge that is necessary to succeed in today's world. My wife and I moved to Indiana in 1993 and decided to live in Carmel primarily because of the reputation of the school system. It was one of the best decisions we ever made. So tonight, I simply want to say thank you. Thank you to the teachers my children and my friends' children have had over the years. Public education is not perfect, and not every teacher nor every parent is perfect, but our community is blessed to have such a fine school system. I know I speak for many, many families who feel the same. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for your comment. Please hold your applause. Our final speaker tonight is Diane Hanna. What number? Number 1? Oh, that's why I need a team to keep me on straight. Thank you all so much for coming and for speaking to us tonight, and we will now move on. And I will learn how to do my numbers better. All right. Next on our agenda is reports, starting with Dr. Ostrike, Staff and Student Services, and Teacher Recruitment. Thank you.
Good evening, President Browning and members of the board, Dr. Beresford. I'm very pleased to be here tonight to provide a board update on our teacher recruitment efforts. And I am going to come to the podium because I'm a little bit tucked back and I want to make sure I see all of your wonderful faces this evening. So the first question we need to ask ourselves is, when we're looking at teacher recruitment, is, as I try to get to the other slide here, one moment. Thank you for your patience. The first question we need to ask is there a teacher shortage in Indiana? And every viewpoint and experience that we have as a district and across the state of Indiana is yes, there is a teacher shortage out there. Where we used to have 300 to 400 applicants per elementary posting that we would put up, and we now have maybe 50 to 75, which is still a great number in Carmel, but that 50 to 75 in Carmel might be up to 5 in districts just north or south or east or west of here. And so there is a teacher shortage. There's many different articles that will show that, but we are seeing that impact Carmel Clay schools. In addition, where we really feel the teacher shortage is when we have a maternity leave or a medical leave that we have to fill. And there are sometimes no candidates for those different leave positions. But overall, Carmel's in a very good position, but we are seeing less and less applicants for our teaching positions. And so I have a timeline that I just want to share with you this evening on kind of what our efforts are. And so in January, we have an intent to return survey that we send out to all of our teachers, and I'm going to speak more to that in a moment. We are currently in staffing meetings. Dr. Dudley, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, and I work together with our principals and taking a look at staffing needs across the board from elementary to middle school to high school and determine where we'll have openings and so on and so forth. Recruitment fairs, which I'm also going to talk about, those have already started. Typically those start in March, but we've gotten a little bit ahead of the game, which I'm going to share with you with some new recruitment fairs that Carmel Clay Schools has been a part of. Staff placement typically happens around April. Once we go through those staffing meetings, identify the needs, we take all the data from the intent to return, and then we go ahead and fill all of our staffing needs internally first before posting any openings. And then finally, May, June, July, up until that first day of school, if there are any openings, we are hiring our teachers all throughout the summer. And so our intent to return survey, I do want to share a little bit of this with you because it is a genius piece that we do here in Carmel as we ask all of our teachers, are you coming back next year? Do you plan to retire? Are you moving? Do you plan to go on maternity leave? All kinds of different, do you plan on going on a personal leave per our teacher contract? And so we send this out to all of our teachers, we gather all the data, and that determines where some of our staffing openings will be in the next year. Teachers also have the opportunity to say, I would like to voluntarily transfer to a new building. And most of those reasons are because, hey, I live on the east side of Carmel and I currently teach at a west side school. I would say close to 98 to 99% in the intent to return survey say, I love where I'm at, I love the school that I'm teaching in, and I'd like to stay put. But there are a few people that say, hey, I might be, I'm an elementary teacher and I might be interested in teaching at the middle school level, or I'm a middle school teacher and I may be interested in teaching at the high school level. So when we can honor those different opportunities, we like to do that for our teachers. The other piece is based upon this data, just to share with the board, at this time, it can always change, but at this time, we don't anticipate having a large number of openings for next year. Carmel Clay Schools has one of the lowest turnover rates in the state of Indiana. For last year between, and I'll give this data a little bit later, but with our major hiring between March and August, we were less than 5%. You are seeing some schools upwards of 10, 15, over 20% turnover rate, and we are less than 5%. You saw at the board workshop last board meeting that Roger and the team presented on our outstanding Health and Wellness Center. That's a big piece that keeps a lot of teachers here, which is very nice. There's a lot of other reasons that play into that, but I'm very proud of that fact, and we're taking really good care of our teachers. So here's our teacher recruitment fair lineup, and so I wanted to share this with you as we are working very hard to identify the best across the board here in the state of Indiana and beyond. So first we went to IUPUI. It was done virtually this year, but we met with some outstanding candidates, and we also had some Carmel Clay School graduates in there. Mrs. Fletchall, when your son gets his degree, be happy to interview him, and also we have a place for him to student teach, so you give me a call when that happens. In addition to that, we went to the CHEC Career Expo this year. That was a teacher recruitment fair with South Carolina University and Claflin University. Those are both historically black college and universities, and so it was great to connect with them this year. We also recently participated in the Kentucky State University Recruitment Fair, another HBCU, and we are planning on speaking with students at Kentucky State in their education program. And so we are looking at many different ways to get the best, and I'm going to expand upon that in a little bit. Butler University, we have that lined up. That's another virtual piece. Indiana University in Bloomington will be going to. That is in person this year. We're looking forward to that. We also participated first semester down in Bloomington at the Indiana University Student Teaching Fair. And so that was exciting. And so we were able to get some student teachers, because the student teaching piece is some of the best interviews we can conduct with teachers, because we see them every day for from 8 to 12 weeks. And so that's exciting too. Going to Ball State University, Ball State is really known for their special education program. So we love to go and speak to those special educators, future special educators at Ball State. And then we'll be traveling to TCID, which is the Teacher Candidate Interview Day in Hendricks County. And that is a group of 14 different universities, pretty much small universities, University of Indianapolis, Marian University, Franklin College, many different ones across the state of Indiana, but also IUPUI participates in that recruitment fair in addition. So let's talk about another piece that is a huge, huge tool that we have with recruiting teachers, and that's our internal teacher recruitment fair. We are very fortunate in Carmel Clay Schools that we have many instructional assistants that also have their teaching licenses. We have upwards of about 5 teachers this year that have quit their jobs in other districts and come to Carmel to be a long-term teacher, a short-term teacher, or an instructional assistant to get their foot in the door and hopefully be a teacher with us someday. And so that internal teacher recruitment fair, we focus on our own instructional assistants, our own student teachers, our own short and long-term teachers, and we bring, and this is at the elementary level, we bring every single principal together in one day and we interview all of those internal candidates. Well, when we were doing our staffing with Dr. Dudley and I, we were talking with principals, and I always love to ask, how's this teacher doing and how's that teacher doing? We recognize some superstar teachers that we were able to hire from our internal teacher recruitment fair. So that's been a really valuable piece for us. And it's really that first opportunity to interview those internal candidates. Now, one of our strategic plan goals for human resources is to recruit, hire, develop, and retain a diverse and premier workforce. And you saw some of those pieces that we are working on in human resources. But as I said, Claflin University, South Carolina State, not only are we attending their recruitment fairs, but we're getting meetings with them. And if we can get a student teacher to come here from another state to student teach with us, even though it may be far away, that's the foot in the door. Those are the types of partnerships we're looking for. We have another meeting with Kentucky State coming up to talk with them. They're very, very close. So we're excited about that opportunity. Dr. Howard, who is one of our Smoky Row parents, she's also on our DEI parent group. We've connected with her, and she's trying to get us a meeting set up with Howard University, which is another HBCU. We're looking to increase our partnership with Butler University and Clay Center Elementary. Maybe have host some of their classes at Clay Center. So then the students at Butler get to see the amazing opportunities we have within our buildings here at Carmel Clay Schools. We met with Delaware State. Now you might think, wow, Delaware State is far away. Who's going to come from Delaware State? You never know. If I can have a 20 to 30-minute meeting and we attract an outstanding candidate, and especially from a diverse background, to meet the needs of our kids, that 20 or 30 minutes is worth it to me. So we're doing a lot. We're getting out there. I'm working very closely with Terry Roberts-Leonard, our DEI officer, and really it's because of her connections that we're able to get these meetings. I've tried this before in the other previous district I was in. They wouldn't open the door for me. Terry's opening doors for us to get meetings with different universities across the country to see what we can do to get the best teachers in front of our kids. And here's a golden opportunity, and I did put this in gold on purpose. Our Carmel High School Education Careers classes. These are classes at Carmel High School where students can earn college credit either from Butler University. We have dual credit with Butler. We also have ACP course through Indiana University that they can learn about becoming a teacher. They get into our classrooms, and so they see, is this something I want to do? Is this something that maybe I don't want to do? That's the beauty of Carmel High School. all of the opportunities our kids have, hopefully we're saving parents a few dollars here and there, because if they go into the class and they don't like it, they might change their course of studies moving forward, and that's for any of our classes that we have. And so this is a class that I get into every single year. That is a picture of me in the background. So last year, where we had blue, gold days. So that was only a fourth of the kids from a class that I was able to speak with. On April 19th, I'll be at the high school all day long talking with the Education Careers class. But it's an opportunity where we can develop a pipeline straight from Carmel High School back to Carmel Clay Schools, and where kids come back to serve their own communities. When I recruited in the past, in my previous district, we are always getting students from the high school coming back, because we do have a lot of, who doesn't love Carmel? It's an amazing community, it's an amazing place to live, and it's an amazing place to raise your family, and so we want those great students coming back. And so what I do when I talk to them, I say, I will guarantee you an interview when you come back. If you want to student teach with us, we would love to have you student teach. And so those are opportunities that we can give to our own students to bring them back here and really create our pipeline in the era of teacher shortages. And so taking a look, teacher recruitment is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. And it's building relationships, it's getting in front of kids, it's telling the Carmel story, it's sharing how wonderful this school district is to teach in, and that is proven by almost every metric that we have and that we track and that we look over and that we hear from our teachers. And so just showing you some of that data from March to August for this past school year, 60 regular teaching contracts. We have over 1,000 teachers, and really that 60 comes to 49 because we added 11 STEM teachers in each of the buildings, which that's been amazing to have STEM at all of our elementary schools. And so that's less than 5% turnover rate. And then some of the long-term and short-term teaching positions that we did hire. And so we love our Carmel Clay Schools teachers. I want to thank our teachers. They produce miracles every single day. The relationships they develop. Anytime I'm in a building is a great day for me, and walking in the classroom and seeing the engagement and the instruction and the learning that is taking place is absolutely incredible. And not just our teachers, but all staff members, our principals. It's a great place to be, and I'm happy to be here. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so very much. Questions from the board? Jenny.
I first want to applaud your enthusiasm and your willingness to think in unique and exciting ways to bring more people to our community. So often in Indiana, I think we haven't had the pride of community, and we have allowed many of our brightest minds to leave without showing them what a wonderful community we do have. So I applaud that. In the retention surveys, does that, I don't have my contacts in, so I'm sorry, I was trying to read it, but it was hard. Are there questions that also pinpoint problems that may be arising either emotionally due to the strain of the last couple of years, or people that are just maybe needing a little bit of more encouragement or something, rather than just job changes or moves or personal issues? Is there something that targets that so that we can address it? We have these wonderful facilities you mentioned with the mental health professionals at the Wellness Center, and sometimes maybe someone doesn't realize they just need a little extra attention.
Yeah, our intent to return surveys focus on whether or not you're coming back, where would you like to teach, what are your top buildings, top grade levels. There is also a comments section there, so we do have many teachers that leave comments for us with regards to if they did put down that they'd like a voluntary transfer, and then 9 times out of 10 they do put a reason for that. And so, and a lot of the reasons are because proximity. I'd love to bring my kids. I live over on the east side, love to bring my kids with me. That's one of the benefits of teaching in Carmel. If you do live outside of the district, you can bring your kids to school here in Carmel. So the comment section would really be that place that they would be able to share with us. But our principals do such an amazing job. Our Teachers Association is incredible. We have the best Teachers Association in the state of Indiana. They do a fantastic job talking with teachers, connecting with them, and helping them as needed.
We're very lucky to have you and your enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question? Ms. Bamberg.
Very quick question. The 5%, does that include attrition because of retirements?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's really not even 5%. It's much less. Our retention.
Yeah,
is-
if you didn't want to include retirements in there, yes, it would be less than that. But that includes resignations, retirements, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for everything that you do. I know you work really hard on behalf of our teachers and our district, so I appreciate that. My question is, are there any incentives we provide to student teachers to join our team versus another school's team?
So the incentives, we don't have any incentives for student teachers per se, like on the front end. All the incentives are in order to come here with regards to salary. Let me talk about salary real quick, because we may not have the highest starting salary in the state of Indiana, but what we do have is a salary schedule that advances every single year, and there's built-in increases, and there are not very many districts, if any, that have that built-in salary step, provided they get an effective or highly effective evaluation, that they can see what salary they're going to be at minimum in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Back in 2011, the law took that away from many, many districts, and I'm proud to say with Roger McMichael at the helm that we were able to keep those pieces in place and then enhance that moving forward. And so I talked to our student teachers about that. We just had one teacher, or we had one, she student taught with us, then she became an instructional assistant. She had an offer from a neighboring district. We made an offer. I sat down with her, I explained salary, our benefits are better than any other district, and then when you add the wellness center in there, and the doctors and the mental health options that we have for our teachers, the financial from Pete the Planner that you heard about last year's support that we offer our teachers, I can't imagine not selecting to come to Carmel Clay Schools. And then we talk about that very high retention rate that we have, that low turnover rate, and our families and our students are incredible. And so I love my job, and it's very easy for me to try to sell Carmel Clay Schools.
You left out the awesome board.
And of course, the awesome school board. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ostrike, for that presentation. I appreciate it very much, and I am very proud of what Carmel Clay Schools does for its teachers and all of our employees. I think it's important to recognize, like you said, that we may not be the starting highest salary, but over your career, and as being the spouse of a teacher, there are more important things than money, and being able to teach in a great place is one of those. And we are very thankful to our community for supporting public education, for supporting our referendums. And we've heard multiple times, how fortunate we are to have the resources to be able to do all these things. So I think that's important to say. I also think it's important to go on the record that while things may be good here in Carmel, Indiana is experiencing a teacher crisis. And as Dr. Beresford has said numerous times, we need to make Indiana a state that is friendly to teachers and encourages people to go into public education and all the benefits that it provides to themselves and to our community. So thank you for all that you've done, and I appreciate all your efforts to bring the greatest people to Carmel. Thank you. Thank you.
I also want to add the supports that have been put in place by Dr. Dudley. What Mr. McMichael has done from a financial standpoint to be able to attract teachers to our district is incredible. We have special education teachers from all over the state and all over the area who want to come here because those supports that Dr. Dudley has put in place, because of the work that Stephanie Fairchild and the special education team does for our kids every single day. It makes my job very easy, but yes, there is a crisis in the state of Indiana. We recognize that. We're very fortunate, and if things don't get better and turn around, it's eventually going to, we're eventually going to feel it here in Carmel.
When you speak about asking or courting student teachers from other universities, how is that possible for them to come here and live for 8 to 12 weeks? Are they sponsored by families in the district?
Not yet. However, what we're looking for, do they have a relative that lives in Indianapolis or Carmel or the surrounding areas? Looking for maybe those kids that may have gone to college at Howard University. I know a former counselor I worked with that was phenomenal, that in my previous district, she was from Howard and came back to Indianapolis. We don't know who's left, and that's why I want to get in front of kids. I want to get in front of student teachers. I want to get in front of anyone I can to tell them all about how wonderful Carmel is for teachers and how much we support them through professional development, through our instructional coaches, both financially, through benefits, through everything we do here. So I'm not going to sleep until I get everyone in front of me and we make a determination who are those phenomenal teachers, and I want them here in Carmel.
Thank you.
Ms. Vandenberg?
So once we have recruited our teachers, I know the state no longer has, they financially reimburse us for training and for mentoring. I know at one point we were able to do that. So how do we do that, or do we do that for our first year, second year teachers to ensure they have an excellent start and will then deliver some exceptional work for our students?
So the first way we do that is starting in the summer, and the amount of professional development that Dr. Dudley's curriculum instruction and assessment team provides our new teachers to the district, we start there. Then we branch out to buildings and putting those supports in place at the building levels. Our principals work very closely with our new teachers. Oftentimes they are assigned a mentor, even though they may not get paid for like we used to from the state of Indiana, and they're assigned a mentor at the building level that works with them. And then we have ongoing professional development throughout the year. But those instructional coaches that we have at the building level are so key to work with our new teachers to Carmel and make sure they have everything they need to be successful in the classroom.
Thank you. I know how daunting it is to go and start fresh.
Mhm.
And so I can only imagine going into a classroom with, 22 little faces that you don't recognize, and you want to do what's best for them. So I appreciate all the extra work that we do to ensure that they have the skills and supports they need.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. O, and we are glad that we recruited you. So, thank you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
We will now move on to our board member reports. Do we have a legislative update, Mrs. Spanenberg?
Yes, we do. Actually, it's going to be a combo. It'll be between myself and Dr. Beresford. We both have been doing quite a few things behind the scenes and some right up front. I know Dr. B's been working extremely hard and has probably spent more time talking with legislators than he has with the board recently. So since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to attend ISBA's Legislative Day, which was Tuesday the 15th. And we also, ISBA had an online live update, webinar update with Senator Linda Rogers, who is the senator who co-signed, co-authored House Bill 1134. I think the most significant work that she has done on 1134, and I know Dr. Beresford's going to talk a little bit more about 1134. She has spent hours upon hours going through and providing up to, I believe, at this point, 24 amendments to 1134 to work to ensure that it isn't as bad a bill as it could be. We really thank her for her time and commitment to hear the concerns of our community and from our parents and from the staff, all of our public educators, because it has 24 amendments. I hear they did not listen, or it has not passed out of their chamber yet. That might still happen tomorrow, so we will see what happens with that. I do.
Please refrain from talking. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Vandenberg.
The legislation, or this session is near completion with only 2 weeks to go. And today marked the last day that active bills could have been passed out of the House, and tomorrow is the last day that active bills can be passed out of the Senate. I do want to highlight 3. The first is House Bill 1130, which now sits at the Senate, and that bill title is Open Meetings, and that has received a second reading. And we do not know if it's going to get its third reading to pass out of the Senate. That'll happen sometime tomorrow. This particular bill requires our governing body to have public participation, public comment at all public board meetings. And there has been some language that has changed that ensures that we can effectively manage our board meetings if people speak out of turn, if there are situations that pop up at our meetings. The way the bill currently stands, it requires 3 minutes, no less than 3 minutes for public participation. In its current form, I believe it requires school board or public participation at every public meeting, not just at our business meetings. So that's something we'll have to think about for workshop purposes. And like I said, I know there have been some amendments that have been passed around. I don't know how that will end, and we won't know until tomorrow at the close of session with the Senate. The second is House Bill 83, which is school board meetings. And that particular bill is very similar with public comment. That requires public comment on all agenda items before the meeting or before any action is taken. And the way I read the current bill, which did pass out of the House, we would be required to have public participation or some means of public participation if board members are going to participate virtually. That's the way I read it. I'm working on getting better understanding, but that is how I read it, so that concerns me. We will see where that goes. One that has currently died in Senate is House Bill 1072, which was a school referendum levies, and that would require school board member or school districts who have either an operating or a safety referendum to allocate funds to charter schools if any of our students that reside in our school district go to a different school, a charter school. And that bill is essentially dead, but it wasn't voted down, so there's still an opportunity for that language to appear in another bill by amendment, so that's something Dr. Beresford and I are going to take a look at. And I know Dr. B has been working very hard with other superintendents to really articulate the damage that some of the language in 1134 would cause a school district. And so I'm going to let Dr. B talk more about 1134 and what that language looks like.
Hey, thank you. And I appreciate Layla trying to track all that down. This is these next 4 or 5 days are just very, very fast and very fluid. Correct that 1134 was not heard, and so it essentially died today. Moving forward, but as Layla's talked, when my understanding is that when a bill is not voted upon and loses, then it's fair game for that to be amended into other bills. So we have to be very, very alert and keep engaged as far as moving forward, because sometimes things that could be a barrier for public education will show up in a different form. I just want to say first off that our representatives, Donna Shabley and Jerry Torr, have been really good to work with and have been paying attention, and we communicate with them often. Also on the Senate side, J.D. Ford, Fatty Kadura, and Scott Baldwin have been also very, very good, and we've been able to communicate with them. Carmel Clay Schools has always taken the position that we're here as a resource for our legislators, because we have a unique opportunity to explain, how different policies might play out, boots on the ground, and I don't think any legislator wants unintended consequences, and neither do we. So a lot of times we can provide that kind of information. So and that's kind of what we're doing, is to continue to communicate and working with other superintendents and with our people. And I would echo your statements before that Senator Rogers and also Tony Cook worked, I don't know how many hours they put in on trying to make that bill better and better, and it didn't quite get to where it needed to be. And so I think we don't have to worry too much about that. The other thing that we've really stressed, and you've heard me say it before, is that, and what you heard from Dr. Ostrike tonight, is that we believe that any policy making should be done through the lens of the teacher shortage, and because any public policy that has to do with education that would have a negative impact on teachers staying in the job or recruiting teachers into the profession should be a real guiding light for policy as far as education is concerned. We hear tonight we have a lot of applicants here in Carmel because we have a very competitive pay schedule. We have good benefits. But if you look at it from a perspective over time, we used to have hundreds of applicants for every position, including special education. And then most of our IAs had teaching licenses, and most of our permanent substitutes had teaching license, and a lot of our substitutes did, and that was a means to get foot in the door and possibly land a job. And that's not the case anymore. And so while we're in a favorable position, when Carmel Clay Schools hires a teacher from another district, which we do a lot, because this is kind of a destination district for teachers, then that creates an opening in another school. And if they take a teacher from another district, that creates another opening. And really, the farther you get away from highly populated areas is where that struggle, and the struggle is really bad right now for people out in rural areas and different places. So we have to pay attention to that, and don't think that because we're Carmel that we're going to be good over time, because we're watching the numbers get thinner and thinner as we go through, and that includes students that are in education programs. The numbers are drastically lower now than they've been in the past. And then also you can see all the efforts that Dr. O's go into to find candidates and to keep pushing and finding ways to get more and more people in, because the more people we get a look at, the higher quality teacher we're going to get. I think you guys might have asked me in my interview like 3.5 years ago, it's like, what's the most important thing we do in education? And I stand behind it's to hire a teacher, and to get the most highly qualified teacher, because that's where the magic happens, when that teacher meets those students. And everything we do in our operation is to make that moment special, and have it be a high quality experience all around. And that's what Carmel Clay Schools parents and board expect, and that's what we want to deliver. So, but anyhow, I think it ain't over, and so we're going to keep working and looking at what goes on, and we're always looking for keeping efficiency at a high level, and that we certainly don't put any barriers between giving a good quality education to our kids. So So keep, I'll be keeping you informed, and we'll be monitoring what's going on, and there's a lot more action to happen, and it's always the last, all the way to the last 2 minutes of the session. There's things that get pushed in and out. So we'll be monitoring that, and we will serve as a resource for the lawmakers as they deal through those policies. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mrs. Spannenberg? We'll now move on to our Carmel Clay Parks update. Oh, do you have a question, Mr. Kirshner?
Well, I would just like to thank Layla and Dr. Beresford for monitoring all this pending legislation. And as they say, as the legislators say themselves, don't judge us what's at the beginning, but judge us at the end. I'd also like to thank both of them for being a resource, and I know other professionals on our staff have been a resource to our legislators to, as Dr. B said, unintended consequences. And lastly, I'd just like to, thank them for sharing our concerns about Carmel Clay Schools and the impact, and just about public education and the impact that all of these pending bills can have. So thank you very much for all the time that you put in. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Parks, Ms. Jackson?
Thank you. Report for Parks. We are, much like a lot of other businesses across the state, are experiencing a little bit of a staffing shortage. And so we're wondering if maybe there's an opportunity to partner with the schools around recruiting high school students during the summer for employment opportunities. So just want to put that out there. And then also we have our final Bear Creek Steering Committee coming up. So that is the park that's right off of Shelbourne that we've recently acquired. And so we've been very active in recruiting folks from the community to learn what our community needs and provide an opportunity for the community to give input. So if you are available, I believe that meeting is the 23rd of March. Okay.
Thank you so much for serving on our parks for us and reporting back to us. All right, our superintendent report. Do you have anything left to say?
Don't get to go home yet. Now, first I want to thank Dr. Oestreich for his report, and I think he did a really good job of kind of going through the whole process, and you can tell that he kind of brings the juice. He's got high energy, and he does a great job, and his team is very active. And you also got a glimpse at how all of our teams here at Carmel Clay are interrelated and work together and collaborate, because you have to have professional development for teachers coming in and kind of teach the Carmel way, and so it's a collaborative event, and all the teams have to work very closely together, and they're all interrelated. So I appreciate that report, and it really did a nice job of bringing some clarity to that. For the community, I want to know that it is almost time for one of the hardest decisions that we make each year, which is the Teacher of the Year, Carmel Clay Schools Teacher of the Year. So the committees are going to start choosing that, and nominations are now being accepted. So anyone from the community or staff can nominate a teacher in Carmel Clay for Teacher of the Year. And so the easiest way is to go to any of our social media links and grab a link, and you can nominate a teacher today. And we do get nominations from all over, for our staff, and it is a tough decision, but it's always exciting and a lot of fun. So I want to encourage everyone to do that.
Dr. Beresford, if I may add over here, I know you can't see me. I checked this morning. We have 305 Teacher of the Year nominations so far, which I believe is just a reflection of our phenomenal teachers that we have in the district. So 305 and counting.
Well, I think we can do a few more of those. So make sure take advantage of that. Thank you, Dr. Oestreich. I want to give you a little bit of a COVID-19 update. It may be my last one, I hope, knock on wood. But as you know, the federal mandate for masks on school buses was lifted just Friday, I believe it was. And so the change in guidelines from the CDC and the local officials. So At this point in time, we'll still continue to monitor illnesses across the district, and we did that pre-COVID as part of our procedures. We're always monitoring illnesses and flu and that sort of thing. But we will be discontinuing our Monday community report because that data won't be available when there's no reporting mechanism anymore. So, but we'll still use our normal procedures for tracking illnesses. I want to just do a shout out as we come to the close of Black History Month. We always provide all kinds of amazing opportunities for students to combine history and artistic talents. And I wanted to congratulate the following artists. So Sydney Lee from West Clay, Anushka Jenna from Carmel Middle School, Chloe Sun from Carmel High School, and a big congratulations to Ainsley Hornding, who won second place in the statewide Black History Month essay contest, which was sponsored by the Department of Child Services. I got to read that essay. It was really, really good. And so, and I apologize if I mispronounced anybody's names. I think I got most of them right. But real proud of our kids, and boy, they're talented. And it was kind of a nice piece of our celebration this month. Then I want to talk about our young scientists. Fourth grader Yusuf El Masri and fifth grader Elliot Bassett won the annual Forestdale Science Fair. So we got our young scientists. And then our team of a little bit older scientists, the Carmel High School Science Bowl A team, won the Indiana State Finals in science. So it's not all about sports, it's about academics, and it's about, well, let me just keep going. I'll tell you about some more. Prairie Trace's Steely-Eyed Spellers placed third in the state in Spell Bowl competition. So our Steely-Eyed Spellers are still doing a great job. Our West Clay Robotics team received the Judges Award for Perseverance at this weekend's robotics competition. And then my final, like multiple bell ringers of the day, though, was the Carmel choirs. I don't know if you've caught any of their competition choirs, but they are just blowing it up this year. And so the Ambassadors, the Accents, New Edition, and then the Carmel Middle School Class Act show choir are collecting trophies all over the place, and they had a major win of all the grand champions for this last weekend, and it's like every weekend. And some of these you're able to watch online if you ever get a chance or come to the show. They're just simply amazing, and it's worth your time. And with that, I will conclude my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Beresford, and fellow board members for all the things that you do. As we come to a close of our meeting tonight, I just want to thank you for all the work that you guys do. Oh, did you guys have questions?
Or a plug. I just would like to remind everyone that Thursday is Taste of Carmel. It is one of the premier fundraising events, and this year it is now not just for one school, but for the Carmel Education Foundation. So if there's any tickets left, get them and come, because it is well worth it. Thank you.
And come hungry. They're lovely. Yeah, we're done. So thank you so much, board members. Thank you, administration. Thank you so much for those of you who are in the audience. It's been a pleasure to have you here tonight. I wish you all a wonderful evening, and until we meet again. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Do I have a second? Second? All right. Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.